Good morning, listeners. Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ronald Couming from RCS Technology Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers using various Internet marketing techniques and methods, all proven, and we offer a 100% money-back guarantee as well. The purpose of this show is we break it up into three sections. The first two sections, we bring on subject matter experts from around the world to give tips and advice to help entrepreneurs and business owners achieve even greater success. And then in the third section, I will give you 8 to 10 minutes of actionable tips and methods that you can utilize yourself if you have the skill set. Every episode here is archived on my website, rcstechnologysolutions.com, a couple of days after the show. So if for some reason you hear a guest or they're given their contact information and you're unable to write it down, please know that you'll be able to get it in the near future. Plus, you can contact me at 978-606-5432, and I'll send you a clip of this section or any other section. Today, I'm very happy to welcome Vick Tipnes. He is a successful entrepreneur, CEO, and founder of a multi-million-dollar firm with 30 employees and assists many other entrepreneurs understand and withstand the hurdles of being an entrepreneur. Vick, how you doing today?
Great, Ron. How are you?
Excellent. I'm glad we finally got to connect.
Yes, likewise. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming on. Where are you calling in from, Vick?
Calling in from sunny Tampa, Florida.
Nice. And I don't know if you heard the weather, but they're getting another 12 inches in Lowell, Mass, where the radio station is, and it's crazy. I'm in St. Croix for 2 months, but I didn't want the show to go strictly rerun, so I'm doing the show remotely.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So both of us are sitting in the sun where it's probably about 80 degrees, and our listeners, please forgive us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We won't rub it in.
It's excellent. And that just goes to show you, like, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. I like to create a life I don't need a vacation from, and the tips and stuff that we're going to impart on the listeners could maybe help set them on a path that will free them up from their brick-and-mortar W-2 lifestyle. Can you possibly just give the listeners a little bit about who you are and just talk about whatever suits you?
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you a little bit about me, and then I'll kind of expand on the topic that you just brought up. So my name is Vick Tipnes. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm founder and CEO of Blackstone Medical Services. We are one of the largest home sleep testing companies in the country. We're in 50 states, and basically we provide a service where we send a medical device to a patient's home, and they are tested for sleep apnea in the comfort of their own home versus having to go to a hospital or a sleep lab and be tested there. And that's what we do. I founded the company about 5 to 6 years ago from my kitchen. I was in a job that I did not feel happy in, did not feel fulfilled, didn't feel that I was really living my purpose. And I knew that I wanted to help as many people as I could and provide a service that would, create a big, wonderful effect on others. And that's what we do today. We save lives by testing patients. And so I quit my job, and I had about 6 months worth of severance, and the rest of the money I had at the time, which wasn't a lot, I threw into starting this business. And at the time I was married, and I have 2 boys, and so I had to provide because my wife didn't work. At the same time, I had to build this business, and I had no plan B. So my plan B was, I had no. My parents died when I was younger, and so I have no one to fall back on. It was just basically me. So I took the risk, and I worked very, very, very hard. I was 4 days away from bankruptcy. I was losing about $30,000 a month in cash in the business, and obviously I had to offset that by raising capital to do so. But at some point, I lost my funding and was about 4 days away from bankruptcy about 3 years ago. And I had to turn that around and make it go right, which I was able to do. And since then, things have gotten a lot better. We've had 325% growth over the last 3 years, and we had 80% growth just 2016 over 15. And I'm happy to say that we're actually going to make the Inc. 5000 this year, which is a huge accomplishment for me. It's something that I had dreamed about for many years as an entrepreneur, to make the Inc. 5000. And now we're gonna be in it, and we're gonna be in the top 1,000 or roughly around there out of the 5,000 companies. So it's been a crazy ride, and I think any entrepreneur that's listening in on this show can understand that. But yeah, so that's my kind of story in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot of details I'm leaving out that I'll be putting in my book, but that's kind of the 30,000-foot kind of snapshot without sucking up all the time.
Yeah, but you covered a lot of stuff. You talk about commitment. You took that plunge. You know what I mean? You had a job, you had income, but you wanted something better in your life. You took that plunge, and you weren't alone. You had a wife and children, and you were the sole provider. But, you found a problem, and you solved it, or at least you started the process of solving it, the inconvenience of people having sleep apnea and having to go to different sleep clinics and, spending a day or hours or overnight or a couple of days to get tested and then, diagnosed and whatever. So you found a problem and you solved it. It didn't happen overnight. To me, that's amazing. That's serious commitment. Nerve-wracking, but I'm sure...
Yeah, very nerve-wracking. But, you make an amazing point, and that's actually my philosophy is I think as an entrepreneur, your idea is as good as it solves a problem, and to the degree that you solve a bigger problem is to the degree that your company actually will be successful. Because if you just have this idea that you want to have a company, but you don't necessarily identify what problem you're solving, very hard to be successful with that mentality.
Yep, I love it, and that's like Richard Branson when I was at an event, and he was talking about, and it was funny because it was actually about St. Croix. Several years ago in the 70s, he was in Puerto Rico, and he had paid airfare to go to St. Croix to meet a girl that he was very attracted to. It turned out he ended up marrying her years later. It became his wife, and he wanted to get to St. Croix, and him and like 7 other people had paid their way, but the airline came over and said, well, there's not enough of you for us to justify having a plane, so sit tight, we'll go tomorrow. So because he had already had some money, he went and he chartered a plane, and then he went and he had the people there pay him like $40 or something, $39, and flew everybody to St. Croix. The next day he got up and he called Boeing and asked them about 747s, and that's how Virgin Atlantic started. So,
wow.
But his point to that was, businesses just like yours start out of necessity or an inconvenience. And the bigger the problem you solve, the more money potentially you're going to make.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely spot on. Completely agree.
Yep. And then Jim Rohn's also, one of the episodes, I remember listening to him not too long ago. He had talked about when people try to find a crutch and they say, well, that's all they pay me at whatever their job is. And his thing was like, no, that's not all he said, well, they say that's all they pay. He says, no, that's not all they pay. That's all they pay you. Exactly. Add more to the equation and, you know what I mean, you'll make more. So I love the mindset. And if people can get crystal clear on that, I think, obviously there's going to be ups and downs, but, potentially. And, it's public. So, I mean, you've made like $17 million, right?
What, the Blackstone?
Yeah, your businesses?
No, we're privately held.
Okay, but I saw somewhere where it talked about $17 million.
No, we're privately held. We don't disclose our revenues or value.
Okay, I just saw that somewhere, but the only reason I was mentioning that is you were literally 4 days away from being bankrupt, and wherever you're at right now, it is massively away from where you were at that point.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep. And when you talked about you found, you turned it around, can you talk about a little bit about how you did turn it around?
Yeah, I had to. I had a successful model, but the model took a little bit of some time to launch, off the runway. And I had to, and I think obviously every business is different. And I think what's really key is takeaway here for any of the entrepreneurs that are listening is, I had to very, very great detail list out exactly the necessary actions that were going to make my business successful, and I literally had to write it out and get it to the point where I knew it in the sense of the most minute detail, and then all I had to do was I had to then do those actions, 10x. I had to multiply them over and over and over again every single day. And little things. To give you an example, if I felt that meeting with my sales team every morning at 8:00 before the day started to go over what we were going to do that day, if I felt and knew that actually was working, I kept doing those things. And I did that from the very beginning. I started the company for 3 years. I would meet my sales team every single morning at 8:00, even when I had one sales rep, which is what I started with. Now we're up to, several dozens, but, that was a successful action. And so I kept that in, and that was my commitment to knowing that, hey, look, if I keep doing these things, at some point it's going to pay off. It's going to create the right effect,
Yeah, that's amazing, and it definitely worked for you. So it's kind of like try it, test it, and tweak it. If it's working, stick with it. If it isn't, test whatever it is, and then tweak it to make it right.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to. Most entrepreneurs, most people in general, probably don't really look at or sit down and take a minute to think, okay, what is it that I'm doing that's working, and what am I doing that's not working by actual fact or experiment, and actually just getting rid of those things that you just know that they're not working. They have no positive gain. Instead of just kind of throwing something against the wall and not really knowing if that actually works or not.
To me, that's excellent advice, and just it's what you did, and it's what made you turn it around. We got like 6 or 7 minutes left. We're definitely going to give out your contact information, and I want to know more about your book. But do you have 1 or 2 things that people who are either starting a business, thinking about starting a business, or like have been in a business but they're still at like the adolescence and they're trying to level up a little bit? Just 1 or 2 tips that you think might help them?
Yeah, sure. So for the ones that are thinking about starting a business, my advice to you is, number 1 is entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. It is for people that are willing to put up with the uncomfortableness, and that's a key word, uncomfortableness. If you're not willing to put up with the uncomfortableness, and those things are not knowing if you're going to get paid, maybe you'll get paid, maybe it'll be a little less than you thought, not really being able to do a lot of extracurricular activities if you don't have the money for it, and just essentially being uncomfortable because you're going to go through that period of time. Every entrepreneur does, unless you come from a wealthy family. But Elon Musk was showering in the local gym, because he didn't have any money to have a place. He had to decide between having an office or having an apartment. He chose the office. So you're gonna have to really get comfortable with that and just know that that's what you're gonna have to go through and be accepting of that. That's my first advice to somebody that's wanting to be an entrepreneur. And then if you're already an entrepreneur and you're finding yourself in the same struggle that I was in a few years ago, what I would tell you is just make sure that you've got a successful business model. A lot of entrepreneurs don't have successful business models, and they end up, selling the farm for a business that really didn't solve a problem in the first place. They just thought was a good idea. So if you've vetted out as an entrepreneur that you actually have a successful business model and you know that it can work and will work, then I'll just say stay 100% committed to it and don't give up despite what anybody says or does or anything. You're going to go through obstacles. You're going to have naysayers. You're going to have people that think you're crazy. You're going to have people that think you're stupid. But if you believe that the model works and you vetted it out, then I would just say stay the course and never quit. You'll get there eventually.
And I like it. And also, I like you do Motivation Monday, Self-Awareness Monday. I was listening to it today, so the listeners can also connect with you on Facebook and help them regardless of what level. I told you one day I saw your thing, be the reason somebody smiles today, and I did that with a friend of mine, and she was in Miami. I told her to be in the moment. She went out to the beach, did a Facebook Live, talked about that, mentioned that, but then she was so happy. But then it went on to other people as well. So, I mean, there was a domino effect. So thank you for that. And
wow.
She benefited without even knowing.
That's awesome.
Yep,
really cool.
But now
Yeah,
people,
that's why I do it.
Yep. Motivation Monday, Self-Awareness Monday, and excellent. And also, I love that shirt you got, Entrepreneur shirt. There's like a shirt you wear.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you need it.
Yeah.
If you haven't already ordered it, make sure you order it. You can go to the website, entrepreneurfamily.org. Again,
Okay.
It's entrepreneurfamily.org, and pick it up today.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you how I can get one. And excellent. I like it. Entrepreneurship. Great. So could you give us your contact information and any last bit of advice you'd like the listeners to have or know? Anything about you or something about them, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, connect with me on Facebook, Vick Tipnes, VickTipnes, also on Instagram. Put out a lot of content about entrepreneurialism and how to obtain entrepreneurial success, financial freedom. I guess my advice is, look, I think the bottom line comes to if you want to have a different life, if you want to have a new life, you're gonna have to break some eggs and create an omelet. Don't be afraid to break some eggs. You got to do what you got to do. Just go do it.
I love it. Yep. And Vic, I got to tell you, I've been an entrepreneur, for longer than I care to admit, and I've achieved some level of success. Obviously, there's levels I can go up, and I certainly want to. But I have been following you, and I appreciate you. So I know the listeners, if they take the time and effort to reach out, they're going to be glad they did. It's Vick, VickTipnes. Also, you can connect with him on Facebook and Instagram, as he said. Victor, I want to thank you very much. Everybody, you've been listening to the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ronald Couming from Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs achieve even greater success using various Internet marketing and techniques and methods.